$0. The best laptop you can buy is very often the one you don't buy, because there are 8 price tiers between a free hand-me-down and a $6,000 workstation, and almost nobody knows which one they're actually in. Most people overspend by about $1,000, or underspend by $200 and regret it 8 months later. If you have a relative, a friend, or an old family laptop sitting in a cupboard, there's a good chance it's still perfectly usable. The sweet spot is roughly 2015 to 2019 business laptops, especially ThinkPads, Dell Latitudes, and HP EliteBooks. These were built for companies that expected employees to abuse them for years, so they aged surprisingly well. The biggest problem is usually the battery. If the laptop only works when it's plugged in, that doesn't mean it's dead. A replacement battery costs around $25 to $40. Add a cheap SSD for around $20, and the difference is ridiculous. Put 2 identical ThinkPads side by side, one on a mechanical hard drive, one on an SSD, and hit the power button at the same time. One is at the desktop in 12 seconds. The other is still thinking about it at 90. And if the hardware struggles with modern Windows, Chrome OS Flex or a lightweight Linux distribution can keep it useful for browsing, writing, schoolwork, and basic everyday tasks. Honestly, a 2017 ThinkPad with an SSD can be a better writing machine than some $600 laptop sold new today, which is slightly embarrassing for the laptop industry. $300. At around $300, you can finally buy a new laptop without diving into the used market. You'll mostly find Acer Aspires, Lenovo IdeaPads, and HP 15s, usually with an Intel N series chip or low-power Ryzen 3, 8GB of RAM, and a 256GB SSD. But there's one specification you should check before anything else. Is the RAM upgradable? A lot of cheap laptops solder the RAM directly to the motherboard, which means that 8GB is what you're getting for the rest of its natural life. That's the difference between a laptop that lasts 5 years and one that starts begging for mercy after 2. Quick translation. In case those specs mean nothing to you, RAM is how many things the laptop can think about at once. Storage is how much it can remember. The processor is how fast it thinks. That's the whole vocabulary you need for this video. The display is the other place manufacturers save money. Some budget laptops still ship with 1366 by 768 panels. And in 2026, just skip them. Get 1080p. You're gonna spend hours looking at this screen, so don't punish yourself to save $20. For everyday work, these laptops are fine. Documents, browsing, YouTube, Zoom, Google Classroom, light coding, all well within their limits. Gaming and serious video editing, forget it. This is the laptop you buy at 11 p.m. because you have a deadline at 8 a.m. and your old computer chose this exact moment to die. $600. Around $600 is where laptops stop apologizing for being cheap. You're looking for a Ryzen 5 or Core i5, 16GB of RAM, a 512GB NVMe SSD, and a proper 1080p IPS display. At this point, the machine should feel fast for everyday work instead of making you question whether opening Chrome was an unreasonable request. This is also where the laptop market splits into 2 very different directions. You can go for a thin and light focused on battery life and portability, or spend the same money on an entry-level gaming laptop. Realistically, a last-generation RTX 4050 machine, because current generation GPU pricing has pushed even the RTX 5050 up toward $1,000. The problem is that the chassis can still be cheap. Hinges and plastic around them are usually what fail first. Constantly opening and closing a flexible plastic lid puts enormous stress on that area, and once it starts cracking, the countdown begins. Honestly, this is probably where most people should stop. For school, office work, browsing, and general productivity, spending another few $100s often gets you a thinner, lighter laptop with nicer materials, rather than dramatically more capability. And that's the laptop tax to remember. Sometimes you're paying for less weight, not more performance. If you game, this tier is playable, but only on last-gen hardware and only at 1080p. $900. Around $900 is where laptops get genuinely interesting, because you're choosing what kind of computer you actually want. This is where the MacBook Air enters the conversation. Apple's M-series chips give you a fanless, silent laptop with excellent battery life, often reaching 15 hours or more depending on the model and workload. No fan spinning up, no giant charger, no laptop sounding like it's preparing for takeoff. Windows has a similar approach with Snapdragon X and newer Ryzen Ultrabooks. These processors focus heavily on efficiency and include NPUs, neural processing units for AI workloads. ARM is the same chip family your phone has used for years. The catch is compatibility. Older software, drivers, and games still run better on x86, so check what you actually use first. Then there's gaming. Around $900, you can find laptops with an RTX 4060, which is enough for 1080p at high settings. But you're trading away battery life and portability, and the fans will let you know when the GPU is working. Which team are you on? Drop it in the comments, and if these tiers are helping you figure out where you land, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel. $1,300. Around $1,300, the hardware starts becoming less of the story. You're looking at the MacBook Pro 14, Dell XPS, ThinkPad X1 Carbon, the Asus Zephyrus, where build quality itself is part of what you're paying for. Better displays, usually OLED or mini LED at 120 Hz. Plus, better speakers, nicer keyboards, stronger hinges, and cooling that isn't an afterthought. If you edit photos or video, the contrast and color accuracy genuinely change your work. There's also the laptop tax. A $700 gaming laptop can easily beat a $1,300 Ultrabook in raw performance. What you're paying for with the more expensive machine is portability, battery life, quieter operation, and a much nicer experience when you're carrying and using it 6 hours a day. If you game, this is where RTX 5060 laptops land. And 1440p becomes realistic without carrying a portable desktop. And that's what this tier is really selling. $2,000. At $2,000, there are two very different directions. You could get a 16-inch MacBook Pro with a Pro-class Apple chip, or a much thicker gaming laptop with RTX 5070 class graphics. Same budget, completely different machines. The big difference here is sustained performance. A laptop that runs incredibly fast for 5 minutes before getting hot is very different from one that maintains that performance for 5 hours. That's why gaming laptops get thick. In this tier, thickness isn't a flaw. Sometimes it's the reason the laptop stays fast. Apple takes a different approach with unified memory. The CPU and GPU access the same memory pool, which is particularly useful for large creative projects and workloads that need a lot of RAM. This is the laptop that makes sense when it's your only computer, editing videos on location, running development environments and containers. The downside is maintenance. After years of heavy use, fans wear out and thermal materials degrade. So these machines eventually need more attention than a basic Ultrabook. At $2,000, you're paying for performance that can actually stay there. $3,500. At around $3,500, you're looking at the MacBook Pro 16 with a Max class chip, Asus ROG Strix Scar, Razer Blade 18, and laptops with RTX 5080 and 5090 graphics. This is also where 64 or even 128 gigabytes of memory becomes useful for specific workloads. Local AI models, 8K video timelines, and huge 3D scenes can genuinely consume that much. For normal browsing and gaming, you absolutely do not need it. And there's one important distinction with the RTX 5090 laptop. It is not a desktop RTX 5090. The laptop version has much tighter power and thermal limits. So even though they share the same name, the desktop card is considerably faster. That's one of the easiest things to misunderstand when comparing flagship laptops. Battery life also takes a serious hit once you push this hardware. You might get excellent battery doing light work, but under a heavy workload, 2 hours disappears quickly. $6,000 plus. At $6,000 and beyond, you're in a completely different market. Two things live up here. The first is the 18-inch desktop replacement gaming machines. Enormous, RGB lit, and genuinely faster than most desktops people own. The second is what this section is actually about. The Dell Pro Max, Lenovo ThinkPad P series, the HP ZBook Fury aren't consumer laptops. They're procurement products. One feature you'll see is ECC memory, error-correcting code memory. In simple terms, ECC detects and corrects certain memory errors. A random bit flipping during Fortnite probably doesn't matter. A bit flipping during a 19-hour engineering simulation is a very different kind of problem. Then there's ISV certification, Independent Software Vendor Certification. Companies like Autodesk, Dassault Systems, and Siemens certify specific hardware and drivers for applications like Maya, CATIA, and SolidWorks. Professional RTX Pro GPUs cost several times what a gaming card with similar specs does. You're buying certified drivers and reliability, not frames. Nobody chooses one because it looks cool. It arrives with an asset tag. And if you're lucky, that same laptop might end up in the $0 section of this video 8 years later. Honorable mention: Framework. One laptop that doesn't fit into these tiers is Framework. It's built around modularity. You can replace the ports, keyboard, screen, storage, memory, and even the main board instead of replacing the entire laptop. That's why it doesn't belong to one price tier. For someone planning to keep a laptop for years, it pays for itself. And that's every laptop tier, from a hand-me-down ThinkPad with a $20 SSD to a workstation with ECC memory and an asset tag attached. So what are you watching this video on right now? And be honest, is it holding up, or is it the reason you're watching this video? If this finally made laptop pricing make sense, hit subscribe. Now, here's the thing. You just learned what every laptop tier actually gets you. But there's a question sitting underneath all of it. How much of that money went toward making the computer portable instead of making it faster? Because the same $2,000 in a desktop buys something in a completely different league. That's exactly what we're covering next. Every PC build tier explained simply, from a rescued $0 desktop to a $6,000 no-ceiling build. Click the video on screen right now, and I'll see you there.